Imagine coming home from a relaxing weekend getaway, only to find your quiet strip of land transformed into a makeshift storage empire, complete with gleaming units that scream community progress, but reek of outright theft. That's exactly what hit me like a ton of misplaced bricks when I pulled into my driveway that Sunday afternoon. No heads up, no permission, just 15 squat, beige boxes with blue doors, lined up like obedient soldiers on property I'd owned for over a decade, all courtesy of the neighborhood's self-appointed overlord. My name's Ethan Harlow, 42, a quiet IT consultant who traded corporate chaos for freelance gigs fixing networks from my home office. I live in a sleepy suburb outside Atlanta, Georgia, where the houses are cookie-cutter perfect and the air hums with the subtle tyranny of HOA rules. You know the type: mandatory lawn heights, approved paint colors, and fines for breathing too loudly on your own porch. I'd bought this extra parcel years ago, before the HOA even existed, a long, narrow lot backing up to the community's edge, perfect for my occasional tinkering with old computers and servers. It was mine, deed and all, separate from the subdivision's grip. But in places like this, facts don't matter when power-hungry busybodies smell opportunity. The culprit? Victoria Langford, the HOA president, a woman in her late 50s who carried herself like a discount queen, always in floral cardigans and sensible heels that clicked with judgment. She'd been elected 3 terms running, mostly because no one else wanted the hassle, and she ruled with an iron fist wrapped in, for the greater good rhetoric. I'd heard the whispers about me over the years, neighbors gossiping that I was some reclusive weirdo, probably hiding servers full of shady data, or worse, not contributing enough to the community's vibe. I ignored it, kept to myself, paid my dues on time. But Victoria, she thrived on control, turning minor infractions into public spectacles at meetings, all while smiling that saccharine smile that said, "I'm just enforcing the rules." Dear, that day, as I stared at the concrete eyesore, Victoria pulled up in her pristine white sedan, stepping out with a clipboard like it was her scepter. "Ethan, so glad you're back. Look at this marvelous addition," she cooed, gesturing at the units as if she'd unveiled a statue in my honor. The board approved it unanimously. Your land was just sitting there, gathering weeds, such a waste. Now, it's serving the community. I blinked, my fishing gear still slung over my shoulder. My land? You mean the parcel I own outright? The one not under HOA jurisdiction? She waved a manicured hand dismissively. Oh, please. The county map shows it's in a transitional area, adjacent to our green space. We've mowed it a couple times when it looked unkempt. Assumed you'd appreciate the help. And honestly, Ethan, with all those rumors about your hobbies, we figured you'd want to blend in more. Rumors. There it was, the subtle jab. Folks had spun tales that my home setups were for hacking or something illicit, all because I kept odd hours and didn't join the block parties. I felt the sting but bit back, observing her smug stance. So, no permits? No asking the owner. Permits are for outsiders, she said with a chuckle that grated like nails on chalkboard. This enhances property values. We're projecting $15,000 a year in leases, new playground equipment, holiday lights, the works. Everyone wins. Everyone except the guy whose land was hijacked. I didn't explode. Instead, I nodded politely, retreated to my house, and pulled out my safe deposit box key. Inside was the original deed, crisp and official, predating the HOA by years. Let her bask in her victory, I thought. The real fun starts when the mask slips. The next few days, I played it cool, watching from my window as neighbors hauled junk into the units, paying Victoria's modest fees in cash or apps. She even hosted a ribbon cutting on Facebook Live, posing with scissors and a grin, captioning it "Community First." Comments poured in, "Great job, Vic," and finally, "Some storage without driving to town." I scrolled through, noting the blind praise, the way she manipulated the narrative. But I was patient, digging quietly. I visited the county records office, where a no-nonsense clerk named Rita peered over her bifocals. "Mr. Harlow, this deed is ironclad. Your lot's exempt from HOA overlays, no easements, no shared rights." She checked her database. "And no building permits filed for those units. If they're up, it's bootleg construction." "Bootleg," I echoed, suppressing a smirk at the irony. Victoria, the rule enforcer, breaking every one. Rita leaned in. "Trespass, illegal build, unreported income. Could be a felony if they're profiting." I filed a discreet inspection request. No fanfare. 2 days later, a city inspector in a fluorescent vest poked around the site while Victoria hovered like a nervous hen. "Ma'am, these structures aren't permitted," he said flatly. She puffed up. "This is for the neighborhood. Ethan's never used the space productively. We're revitalizing it." He jotted notes. "Doesn't matter. Owner's complaint stands." As he left, she shot me a glare from across the street, but I just waved innocently from my porch. The unraveling began with a bland notice on the HOA bulletin board, "Routine zoning review in progress." But whispers spread, tenants grumbling about access, Victoria dodging questions at the next meeting. "It's a minor hiccup," she assured the room, her voice syrupy. "Ethan's being difficult. You know how he is, with his secretive tech stuff. Probably doesn't want us too close." There it was again, the smear. Neighbors murmured, some nodding like sheep. I sat in the back, silent, but inside, I was cataloging every word. The cease order dropped a week later, locking the units. Tenants banged on doors, demanding refunds. Victoria's emails flew. "Temporary setback. Blame the bureaucracy." I got pulled into an emergency session at the clubhouse, a stuffy room with faded posters preaching unity through rules. Victoria sat at the head, flanked by her cronies, a banker named Harold with a perpetual frown and a retired teacher, Gladys, who nodded at everything. "Ethan," Victoria started, folding her hands like a principal. "We've got a misunderstanding about boundaries. The map's fuzzy, gray area. Really." I slid the deed across the table. "Nothing gray here. Black and white. My property." Harold cleared his throat. "Surely we can negotiate." "Tear down would be wasteful." "Negotiate," I replied calmly. "You built without asking, leased without sharing. That's not negotiation. That's squatting." Victoria's smile cracked. "You're overreacting. Think of the children, the playground funds. The children can play without your land grab," I shot back mildly. "Refund the tenants, demolish, or pay me fair lease with backdated interest." Her eyes flashed. "This is extortion. We've invested." I stood. "Invested in theft. See you in court." Outside, I heard her muttering to the board. "He's always been odd, probably plotting this." The police report was next, criminal, not civil. Theft of land use. Fraud. I attached lease copies I'd quietly obtained from a disgruntled tenant. The DA perked up. This HOA's got a history of overreach. Victoria got served papers at her door. I watched from afar as her face drained of color. I hired a lawyer, Jenna Ruiz, a bulldog from Savannah who'd dismantled shady developments before. She pored over docs. Their bylaws forbid leasing non-HOA land. This is void and criminal if they hit it. We froze their accounts. Calls flooded in, Harold begging. Think of the holiday party. Gladys whining. Community spirits at stake. Jenna stonewalled. Court or nothing. The units gathered dust. Padlocks oxidizing. Tenants got refunds from drained reserves. Victoria vanished from meetings. Rumors swirling she dipped into funds personally. But Jenna dug deeper. Financial mismatches. Inflated bills. A fat check to a phantom company. Embezzlement, she said. I handed it to detectives. Detectives Burke and Lena showed up. Burke gruff, Lena sharp. Cash rents? No records? Classic skim. I provided emails, Victoria to Harold. Land's ours by default. No one's claimed it. Collect quick. Burke whistled. Intent proven. Subpoenas flew. Victoria's house raided. Ledgers, tablets exposing years of scams. The shell company? Her brothers in Florida. Laundering contractor kickbacks. Charges piled. Fraud. Evasion. Conspiracy. The paper screamed, HOA tyrant exposed in land heist. Mayor condemned abuse of trust. Victoria mailed a note. Ethan, you've ruined everything. We kept order, you chose chaos. Enjoy the fallout. It reeked of delusion. The interim board met in a school gym. New president, a mechanic named Tom, apologized publicly. We let bullies run wild. Jenna handed over reformed bylaws, majority votes required. Neighbors approached. Didn't know you had backbone. Ethan. I rebuilt the site into my tech repair hub. Sign reading Harlow Innovations. Private. No HOA nonsense. Jenna dropped the judgment envelope. Restitution. Damages. Add that server farm you wanted. The dissolution vote passed amid cheers. But one last twist. Detective Lena returned with a folder. Deeper audit money laundering via HOA fronts. Photos showed Victoria dining with shady contractor Vance Thorpe. She washed his dirty cash through units. A drone pic revealed hidden crates on adjacent city land. Bins of stolen dues. Forged ballots from multiple HOAs. Olivia ran a county-wide racket, advising 6 groups off books, pocketing dues. Feds raided, arrested her at the airport. News dubbed her the HOA mob boss. I testified. She called my land gray. Turns out her morals were black. Guilty on all, 8 years federal time. Restitutions galore. I skipped sentencing, fencing my lot instead. At the neighborhood barbecue potluck. No committees, I mingled. Jenna teased. Not the loner anymore? Nah, I said. Just done with tyrants. As lights flickered on my secure shop, peace settled. No more rules, just freedom. But tell me, was I the villain for fighting back? Or was the real crime letting HOA Karens rule unchecked?